What's up, Zox fam? And we're back with some more Sword of Convallaria. Now, my account is finally level 30, so I wanted to get into team composition. Units you should be investing in, maybe units you shouldn't be investing in. And this is really important because there's a lot of content that's going to come and that we're going to be diving into on the channel that's going to require unit diversity, because there's going to be different mechanics and different unit types that are going to excel at these pieces of content. And yes, you might have your favorites, but you might want to build some extras on the side to make sure that you're able to successfully climb these different difficulties and really honestly have the best opportunity to get the best drops, right? So let's get into that, right? Now, the first thing is characters. Obviously, you start the game out, you get Maisha, and Maisha is obviously really broken. I think she's a great freebie character. She has a whole slew of different things in her kit. Defensively, she's able to do some damage. She has pushbacks. She's great to invest in. So don't think that she's just one of those characters you get in the beginning and you throw to the side and you don't ever build her, you don't ever look at her. No, this is a character you absolutely want to dump resources into. She's going to give you a crap ton of value. Now, one rule of thumb that I would say that's going to be very helpful to you is to try to pick up 2 units in each class. Now, Maisha is the only one that I have not developed a second of yet, and that's just because typically in most things, I haven't really had the need to need more than one tank, but I'm assuming it is going to come up. So I do have a tank on reserve right here. I'm calling him Leonidas, even though that's not his name. But either way, that's a unit that I'm going to be developing at some point. So I started to put a little bit of levels in him, but he is a guardian. So I am going to be building him up to use in conjunction or alternate out between my Maisha. But the reason why I'm saying that is because you're going to find that there's going to be content where you're going to need to have something more of something, right? So you're going to need more range, right? Versus the team comp that you might have built initially might be mainly melee. I know one of the things that I was very short on was range units. So, and particularly archers, right? So I actually went and I built an archer, and no, this guy right here is not an archer. He just has a bow gun. So he's not able to actually shoot long range, at least not yet in his development, if he is at all. So I actually went and I built an archer outside of my mages, because archers do have those benefits of drop damage and all that extra stuff. So definitely wanted to take advantage of that. But as far as the initial units, like I said, the Maisha, really good. You are going to have a SSR unit that you get for free in the beginning. That's obviously going to be a unit you invest in. Mine personally was Leonid, and he gets, he kind of got shafted on the tier list, but this dude is broken. I literally have been going crazy with this dude. And the thing is that I will say he heals, he can push back, he can stun, he can buff himself. The dude is actually really nice. And then also too, he has a lot of opportunities to like get in, get out. So like if he attacks, does all these different things within his same turn, he can literally get an additional turn to then be able to walk away. So for him to be a much slower moving, tankier unit, they actually gave him a lot of freaking mobility for what it's worth, right? So again, I definitely would say don't fall too much into and again, it's with the tier list. You take them for a grain of salt and you really honestly build teams according to what you like and what you very much so need. So I wouldn't fall into that mindset of that if he's not ranked higher on the tier list, he's not usable, because that's not true. This guy is definitely one of the much lower units on the tier list, and he is popping freaking off, right? Now with that also too, I'll also say that to be the case with Sasha. She's definitely not like super low, but she's definitely not like the highest tier either. But she's absolutely amazing. Fire damage. She ends up being able to gain immunity to her fire magic damage. And then of course, on top of that, her normal magic ability that she uses is like a crazy magic like a ball multi-hit, and it's absolutely great, right? So building a magic user is going to be really important, because you want those units that are able to create that distance for you, so you always don't have to be like, directly on someone to get damage done. Now, as you can see, I got that right there is 1 warrior, 1 tank, and a mage, right? And then I would even say this guy right here, he was kind of another like close quarters unit, but he's going to fall more into that assassin category. And he has an evasion ability that I think is really broken. Evasion in this game, I don't think a lot of people are even peeping how OP it is, but it is really broken, because what it does is it allows you to be able to aggro characters. And because he does move a lot faster than other characters, you're going to essentially have him moving around. He's going to evade, and then it's going to allow them to be just missing attacks all on him, so that it gives you more opportunities to hit and not have to worry about your units being killed. And so this is actually a unit that had helped me scale some higher pieces of content. Probably shouldn't have been able to do at the time, just because he was able to aggro so many people. And then when he was hitting, he was able to multi-hit. And another thing that he does, he also assist attacks. So if you're within a certain radius of him and you're attacking, he can also attack. Now, keep in mind, these things are also going to be relative to what skills you set on your units. And there's many different paths that you can take, but I just felt like from my experience to kind of give you a little bit of an understanding of like how I've been compiling my units, right? So at least for my initial top row, minus the Waria, which I found that that's actually her global name or something like that. These were like my initial units. Now, to further develop and build upon that, I went and I started developing a healer, because it got to a point to where I was like, okay, I can't just keep like taking this damage. And that's why it's like super important for you to make sure you develop a healer. The first one you'll probably have access to will be this healer. And I think that this is just like a priestess or whatever. She's great, single target healer at that. And she does the job honestly quite well. I will say I did stop kind of developing her, and she's just kind of like my sub healer. I actually went and started developing this healer to be more specific, because not only is she able to do a little bit more damage, but she has an AoE heal, and then she also has a really powerful single target heal as well. So I decided to actually build her instead, just because she was able to cover more coverage as far as her healing goes. So that is going to be that. You know, it's going to kind of vary as far as the healer goes, because I haven't had too many other options. I think there might be like one more healer that I might have gotten, which I think is this one, but I think she's even more so on the spectrum of damage into healing maybe. So yeah, that's just kind of that. But then outside of that, the last thing that I really was emphasizing, I did build another magic user. And again, because like I said, the idea is to at least have 2 of each class. I went and built another magic user, and then I went and I built my first archer. Now, I did have one in the very beginning, but it kind of fell off for me. But I was kind of realizing through playing the conquest mode that having an archer is actually really nice, because they have a whole bunch of advantages. For 1, their range, then 2, drop damage. So if they're on much higher like elevated spaces, they do more damage, and they really have some great abilities to prevent mobility and just to kind of stall different units from being able to take advantage of like getting close to you and things of that nature. So I definitely was like, okay, I gotta build an archer, and this was one of the ones that I seen actually in chapter 3, if I'm not mistaken, that was actually popping off. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and build her, and then of course from there, that's where I've kind of stopped. So you see that for the most part, all of my roster that I'm really investing in, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 units are all about level 30. And that's just, of course, where my max cap for my level is. As far as the gearing goes, because that's going to be the next component of developing your teams, focus on your core 5, okay? So yes, I will say that you want to have in mind a doubling or 2 units for each class that you want to build. But I will say that you want to make sure that you are investing in that initial 5 as far as all of your pieces, because those are going to be your power pushes for the most part. So your generalized team, like for me, was my Meisha, my Leonid, my Sasha, the freaking mage, and then I alternated out sometimes it's my I want to call him Ninja, I guess, Inquisitor or something like that. I forgot what his name is, but I usually alternate him out with now my levee that I actually got, and then of course obviously my magic damagers. So those are like usually the 3 that I alternate now at this point, but before it was just the ninja guy that I was using, and then of course my priest and healer. So that's pretty much like how my solidified team is. Everybody else is just kind of like substitutes, so that's why you don't see the gear super invested in yet. That's okay, because they can still do their job, especially like the healers and stuff like that. Like you don't got to go too crazy with trying to invest in them. In comparison to when you look at my Levea, for example, she's gonna have the level 20 pieces on. I think even on my Meisha and even my Leonid, they have level 30 pieces on. She has a level 29 emblem on. So yeah, you know, it's gonna be a lot more investment in these units, but these are my power or progression pushers, as I should say, for at least the story component, right? Now, outside of that, one other thing that's going to coincide with this, and I've mentioned it before, is going to actually be this skill tree here. And this is super important because it's going to give you additional stats to be able to power up your character. So let me actually invest in this a little bit more, because these are additional stats that I could be taking advantage of, and I need to take advantage of, right? And this is so that I can give my characters more attack value, more HP, more healing output, you know, like all those great things, defense, that's really going to take my, you know, account to the next level. So we're gonna go ahead and use it right there. And then we'll just keep leveling this one until the next one shows up. So right there, we just ranked up. And then as you rank up, you are going to unlock other portions of the skill tree. And it usually will tell you right here with this bar indication, like how much you have invested in, you know, how much it's going to take to get to that next component. We actually just unlocked another skill here. So this is actually going to be leveling this up to the second skill. But we also have a additional skill here that we'll also be able to snag as well. So there's a lot that kind of goes into this, but it is going to make a huge difference in just how potent your team is and really with your team development. Now, outside of that, the only other thing that you want to like just keep in mind is just making sure that you aren't going too crazy with, like I said, trying to farm up too much stuff. You really want to be pushing story as much as you possibly can, because that's going to be a lot of EXP for you. Yes, the daily dungeon stuff is nice, but if you have to sit and actually play through, which yes, they are going to make you play through these initially, once your team gets stronger, you will have much better autos and clearing and stuff like that. You want to make sure you're getting through these chapters as quickly as possible. So I'm currently on chapter 5. I just haven't like decided to push the next like node yet because I've been working on a couple of things, but definitely always get rid of your stamina. Don't let that sit and, you know, like just kind of, I would say accumulate and not accumulate actually, because you're not getting any refilling energy, which is super inefficient, right? So that's going to be pretty much that as far as team building. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me about specific units. If you have a unit in mind that you wanted to know more about, definitely drop them down below and I'll try my best to help you guys out. Again, that's going to be that for team building and just how many units you should roughly invest in. But that's going to be that, guys. Everyone stay blessed and yeah, stay charged up.